All right, hear me out. What if I told you that your morning coffee holds the secret to playing guitar like the pros? Sounds crazy, right? But stick with me, because it turns out that some of the greatest guitarists of all time had something in common that no one is talking about. And no, it's not talent, it's actually something called habit stacking, which is a scientifically proven way to build unstoppable progress without having to rely on willpower. And if you're struggling to stay consistent with guitar, if you feel like you don't have enough time to practice it, or if you've been playing for years and you still feel stuck, then this one shift could be the breakthrough that you've been waiting for. And a little later on, I've got something that I want you to have. But first, let's talk about how your morning coffee could make you a much better guitar player. So let's break this down. How does something as simple as coffee make you a better guitar player? And how do we use it to finally get you off of that frustrating plateau? Well, let's quickly talk about what habit stacking even is. Now, the human brain loves routine. So if you're going to introduce a new habit, let's say like guitar practice, to a pre-existing habit, like your morning coffee, it's actually going to really help things be a lot more automatic. And when you start a new habit, it opens up a new neural pathway in your brain. And when you're consistently practicing those habits, the repetition of that is going to result in what's called myelination. And what myelination is essentially a strengthening of your neural pathway. So if let's say when you start guitar practice and your neural pathway is like a shoelace, over time, as you're stacking these habits, making it a lot easier to build on this routine, right? The shoelace is just going to keep getting more and more wrapped around it until it's as thick as a tug of war rope. And it's those small, consistent daily habits that result in myelination, much more than long, inconsistent ones. For example, a 5 to 15 minute practice session done consistently every day way outperforms one long marathon session over the weekend. It's that spaced repetition and consistency that builds that reinforcement. So scientifically, you're going to be getting better results with your guitar playing. This is why the pros don't get better by just grinding it out for hours at inconsistent intervals of time. They improve because they make playing a daily automatic part of their life, just as automatic as morning coffee. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you a 5 to 15 minute guitar practice routine that you can add to your morning coffee ritual that's going to scientifically make you a better guitar player. By the end of this video, you're going to have absolutely no excuse why you're not getting better. So let's talk about the framework of this practice routine. I'm not talking about just noodling around for 15 minutes. I'm talking about structured practice. And I mean, this could be anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes. Of course, whatever amount of time that you can allot yourself. The important thing is the consistency. So if on some days you can only work 5 minutes into your routine, that's fine. Other days you can only work 15 minutes. It's more important that you keep that consistency consistent, right? That's how we're going to get that myelination going and really reinforcing those neural pathways, which again will scientifically result in you being a better guitar player. So we're going to be going through a proven 3-step framework for this practice session. So step number 1, we're going to be exercising our hands. All right. So we're going to do a simple technical exercise that's going to build finger strength, dexterity, and coordination. So we're going to be using the spider walk exercise. You may be familiar with this already. We're going to start it on the 5th fret, right? And if you already are familiar with the spider walk, you go up 4 frets with your 4 fretting fingers. All right, then you walk it up on all the strings. And then in this version of it, when we get to that last note, we're going to shift up 1 fret and then descend. And then once we get to the last note descending, we're going to shift down 1 fret and then start the whole thing over again. So we kind of stay right within this neighborhood, just kind of moving in a sort of circular ascending, descending kind of way. But we're going to practice this to a metronome. That's what's most important. So we're going to find the starting BPM. I'm just going to use 100 BPM just to start with. And we're going to start by playing quarter notes. So basically with every click, we're going to play the note. So let me show you what that'll look like. All right, I got my metronome set up here. It's going at 100 beats per minute. This is just what I selected for this. Also for the sake of time, We're going to start with every click playing a note like this. I'm alternate picking, by the way. So the picking is down, up, down, up. All right, you get the idea. But we're not stopping there. We're actually going to play the same exercise, but we're now going to subdivide the notes into 8th notes. So we're going to go from playing each note per click to playing 2 notes per click. So it's going to be twice as fast. So at 100 beats per minute, instead of 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. All right, you get the idea? But we're also not going to stop there. We're going to subdivide it even further and play 16th notes. So going from 1, 2, 3, 4 to 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 to 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and so we're double timing it, right? Now I'm starting at 100 beats per minute again, just for demonstrative purposes, but you want to start at a BPM that's comfortable enough. You see, it's okay if you feel like it's a little slow when you're playing the quarter notes, because the whole point of playing things a little bit on the slower side is to make sure that your intonation and sustain of those notes is solid, right? You don't want to just like be bored getting through that whole thing. You want to really pay attention to every single note to make sure that it's ringing out nicely and it's in tune. You know, all that stuff's important because when you're playing fast, you can kind of, you know, gloss over all that stuff. So the third subdivision, 16th notes, will be like this. At 100 beats per minute. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E. So I tend to go by the rule of after going through the spider walk, ascending and descending completely, then I'll move straight to the next subdivision, right? And then, so it's like I go through like 3 revolutions of like the whole spider walk thing within this neighborhood of the fretboard. Because again, we're trying to save time, but by doing that, you're covering a lot of ground with, like I said, building a finger strength, building dexterity and coordination. And also, like I said, intonation, making sure your notes are sustaining nicely, especially when you're playing them slower, right? So pick a BPM that's comfortable for you where you can play all 3 subdivisions. It could be 60 beats per minute, 80 beats per minute, 40 beats per minute, whatever's comfortable. You want to make sure you get through it. And then once you're done with that, we're going to move right on to step 2. Step 2 is going to be focused more on ear training with a little bit of theory thrown in. This is overall going to help your musical awareness. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick a scale and we're going to really focus on the tension of each individual note in that scale and how it relates to the root note. This is going to really help us understand the sort of sounds we can get out of every single note that we play in a scale. So we have a lot more command, you know, musical command and musical awareness, like I said, on how to achieve certain sounds with that scale. Because just being able to play it up and down doesn't mean you really know how to use a scale. So in this case, we're going to take the A minor scale, right? A diatonic minor. Which is right here starting on the 7th fret of the D string. That's A, that's our root note. And then we're going to play 4, 5, 7 on the G string. And then 5, 6, 8 on the B string. And then 5 on high E. We're only going to focus on these notes because these are the notes of the entire scale, right? I mean, we could do a full, you know, 6-string pattern of it, but the actual like bones of the scale are these 7 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then we have an octave thrown in. So what we're going to do, the reason why we're playing the scale here is because this allows us to drone the root note by way of the open A string. By droning that A string out, we can kind of hear, like there's the root, right? There's the second. There's the third, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. It's a way to really get to know a scale. And I'm talking like just wander through it. Like instead of just going, it may be tempting to do that, and that doesn't sound half bad, but if that's the only way you approach playing a scale like that, then you're severely limiting yourself, right? We're really trying to get to know every single note, and the best way to do that when it comes to ear training is just to listen and wander through notes. Go from like the root to the 4th and the 2nd. It's kind of cool. It's a cool little melody, right? Let's try the 6th to the 3rd. Ooh, that makes me want to go to the 5th now. That sounded kind of cool. So right there, just in real time, I didn't rehearse this. This all just kind of came right away, was just listening. And already I'm hearing these melodies that I wouldn't otherwise come up with, right? If I'm just sitting there ascending and descending the scale, right? This is a way that we can really milk the notes for all they're worth. It's fun, so I want you to just sit there, drone a low A string or an open A string, right? Even A minor pentatonic, same thing. And just wander through, just like drone that open string and just listen to the notes and play them in a random order. You'll start to not sound like your normal self when you're playing something like A minor pentatonic, right? Because we're going right, which is fine, but it's like when we really get to know on a like musically microscopic level what these notes actually sound like when we hear them clashing with that root note, which is kind of like our anchor point, right? So that sort of brings it all together. It's how we can discern what these notes are sounding like in the context of the entire scale, right? How they clash with the root note. It's pretty cool. So you want to spend a couple minutes just doing that, right? Because what that's going to do is it's going to fuel new ideas that you can actually practice when we get into step 3. Now, step 3, we're going to take some creative action. This is where it's going to get extra fun. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull up a backing track, any backing track online that fits in, with the scale that you're playing. So if we're playing in A minor, right, whether it's A minor pentatonic or the A minor diatonic scale, pretty much any backing track in A minor you pull up, you'll be able to make this work. So you can do that, or you can create a loop. That's what I did. I have a looper pedal. So I created a loop of just some simple chords like A minor, G, F, basically. I'm pretty sure that's what I did. And yeah, let's hear what that sounds like with some of these new ideas. All right, that was fun. So you can fit all 3 of those steps into a 5 to 15 minute time block. Now, if it helps, you can actually write down and schedule these 3 steps in your practice routine based on actual time blocks and put a timer to them, right? So let's say you want to spend 3 minutes on step 1, and then maybe 5 minutes on step 2, and then another 5 on step 3. Anywhere that you can get between that 5 to 15 minute time block, you can make this practice session work. And it's great because it focuses on the mechanical side of things, right? Like step 1, it gets into the ear training and the actually like taking action with your creativity, putting to work these new ideas that you're coming up with like right away. So it's this perfect little progression, this little timeline to like working up your physical side of your guitar playing and your mental side. And I mean, you can literally do this after you had your morning coffee. This process is fast, it's effortless, and it's insanely effective. And when you pair that with a habit that you already do, like making your coffee, you won't even have to think about it. It'll just be like this automatic part of your day. Now look, if this concept makes sense to you and you're sitting there like, man, why haven't I been practicing like this the whole time? Well, imagine what would happen if you had a full system that was guiding you every single day. That's exactly what we do in the Guitar Mastery Method VIP Club. We don't just throw lessons at you and hope for the best. We give you a proven, structured path so that every time you pick up the guitar, you know exactly what to do next. Now, these guys and gals joined because they were tired of practicing randomly and getting nowhere. And they stayed because for the first time in their lives, they saw real, measurable progress. And they had an entire community to keep them on track and have their back every step of the way. Now, if you loved even a fraction of what I shared with you today, then you're already considering where to go from here. And because I'm here to support you in the best way that I can, whether it's through learning neuroscience hacks, getting better practice sessions, or just quantum level leaps in your guitar playing as opposed to the slow, grinded out approach, then you need to see what I've got for you next. It's this bad boy right here. This is a guitar lesson that has broke the internet, as the kids say. It's a lesson on how to instantly solo in any key. The first thing you're going to learn is how to find any key imaginable on your fretboard in record time, and then how to solo in those keys, whether it's major or minor. How cool is that? And this is 100% yours, 100% free. Seriously, I want you to have it. Just be sure to click here to claim your copy, or if you're watching this from TV, scan that QR code. Or you can always check the link that I've left for you in the description box. So don't leave it to chance, or maybe someday. Head on over, click that link right now, and see for yourself. And whether you join or not, do me a favor. Try out this 3-step practice routine that I just gave you, and I guarantee you, you will see a difference.